What's up, everyone? It's DV, and we're back into some slap battles. I've been enjoying playing this game's updates, whatever new gloves came out, and this one is like one of the cooler updates. I was waiting for this one. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, dude, when is it coming out? Because I want to do some boss battles. But yeah, this new glove is called the Rob glove, which is basically a docile and controllable version of Bob. So if you don't know who Bob is, this is Bob here. He is a badge glove. In order to get Bob, you have to like use replica, and the odds of getting Bob from that are crazy difficult. This is actually easier to get than Bob. You could get this in probably about an hour or less if you get lucky, if you have a good group. Otherwise, you're probably going to be spending about a couple hours to get this one. I think we took about, I want to say about an hour to get our first win on this. But yeah, so this new glove can turn into a controllable version of Bob. Unlike Bob though, Rob has a timer, so you can only use him for a bit. Like, you actually control him and use him, but you only have him for a little while, so he will turn back to normal you again after a bit. Unlike Bob, Bob will continue chasing until whatever time, you know, I think until you die or something weird. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to get this new Rob badge and glove, along with the optional clipped wings badge. Before we get started though, just a reminder to hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to. Let's dive into it. First thing you're going to need is 4 to 5 players. In my opinion, just get 4 players because you can only bring 4 with you anyway, so why bring that 5th person only to be bummed out that they can't play with you? But the 5th person could be Bob, because you only really need Bob to get everyone into the battle. So, you know, if you have a 5th and they don't really need the badge, then, you know, they could just go and spawn Bob for you. So how this is going to work is one player is going to need to have God's Hand. One player is going to need to be Reaper, and they're going to need 3 kills in the arena prior to going into the boss battle. Another player is going to need to be kill streak. It's similar to the Reaper. They're going to need 3 kills in the arena. And then one player is going to need to be both Bob and Tycoon, assuming you're taking the 4-player approach. Otherwise, that 4th player will just need to have Tycoon, because you don't use Bob inside of the boss battle. It's just to be able to get spawned or teleported into the boss battle. So how we did this is we had our Reaper and kill streak pretty much get their 3 kills first off of the Tycoon player and the God's Hand player. Have your God's Hand player stand inside the tree so that Bob can't get him, and then your Tycoon/Bob player is going to spawn Bob and have them try to attack the God's Hand that's in the tree. And obviously Bob's going to be stuck down there, right? So he's going to be stuck at the bottom of the tree. It just makes things really easy. And then your kill streak and your Reaper, just have them standing there. And then your Tycoon's going to go and place the Tycoon dropper right next to the tree. And then your God's Hand's going to use its time stop ability. And then you're going to be teleported into the boss fight with the Eternal Bob. So with this first phase, he's going to do like an initial attack. You're going to be kind of overwhelmed at first because he's going to send some shockwaves to you. Plus, he's going to send you some meteorites, and then he's going to calm down for a bit. Just avoid, you know, just kind of survive those for a bit. You're going to try to place this Tycoon somewhere ideally close to the middle of the map, so you don't want to be like standing off the side of the map, because you're probably going to get knocked off and you're going to get flung off the map. And that's kind of what we did the first time we did it. We kind of learned our lessons. So what we did was we put it kind of a little bit to the left of him in the front, but just outside of the middle, because if you put the Tycoon right in the center, he's going to swipe at you every single time he resets, and you're going to get flung off the map. So you just put it to a little bit to the left of him. And the nice thing about placing it where we placed it is it wasn't too far away from him, so we were able to, like, you know, hop off the Tycoon and then, you know, swipe at him when he was down, and then we were able to retreat back to the Tycoon for the shockwaves, because if you stand a little bit high off of the Tycoon dropper, then the shockwaves can't hit you. At least until the meteorites and meteors start coming, then you have some issues. So with this first phase, the boss is going to slam down on the ground and send shockwaves. You can jump over them if you're good at timing them. Otherwise, you can just stand on the dropper, like I said. Especially during the first phase, you could everyone could pretty much just sit on it, except for one person should be clicking on the Tycoon to get to 1,000 clicks. After that, you're going to be stopped at 1,000 clicks. You're not going to be able to click anymore until you get to phase 3, which is when the meteors start dropping. So at that point, you're going to be able to proceed on your clicks and try to get to auto phase, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But at this point, you're not going to be able to click anymore, but you will have HP regen, which basically means, see the hearts at the bottom? That's basically your health. So you get lives, or it's kind of like the equivalent of lives. You don't take any damage from shockwaves. You don't take any damage from meteors or meteorites. You just get knocked around a lot. Same with his hand. The thing is that if you get flung off, though, you will die. So, or you'll lose a heart. So you want to keep those hearts as much as possible. If you run out of all your hearts, you could pay once. It's like 250 Robux to get a one-time revive, but you can't do that again. You only get one of those. So you can't just keep like spending Robux and get a win. You can't pay to win on this. I mean, it's kind of pay to win, but not really, because you only get one of those. So if you get flung off, you kind of are in trouble. Like I said, you're gonna start losing those hearts. But you do regenerate HP over time. That's why it's important to get that first 1,000 clicks, is you're gonna start regenerating health over time. God's Hand's gonna be pausing things every now and then while the boss is down, and also while the boss is down, you should be getting some health regen. So that's super, super important. It does help a bit. If you keep getting flung, you could try standing on the Tycoon, like I said, by the, especially by the shockwaves, or you could trap yourself in the back corner, which I'll show you a quick section here. This is like a spot that we were using every now and then to avoid getting flung. So it will help you quite a bit from if you're like kind of just having problems with the shockwaves. Just stick yourself in that corner and only come out when it's time to attack the boss, then head back in that corner if you have to. It is harder at, I would say, phase 2 and 3 because the meteorites are going to start knocking you out of that corner. So it won't work forever, but hopefully by then you've got your auto enabled and you're going to be able to heal faster. You're going to get a lot more, hearts faster. Now, if you die completely, say you run out of hearts, you just keep getting, maybe you're just getting like knocked around, you're getting wrecked by the boss, you can't help yourself. It's just bad. A bad situation. You could get carried by your teammates. As long as they win, you're still going to get the badge and all that. You're still going to win. So that's kind of a nice, like, pity, I guess, reward, is if you had a really bad experience, you can still win, as long as your team is good. Now, as far as attacking the boss, during the first 2 phases, he's going to fall over after a bit of time. You just got to avoid his shockwaves for a bit, and then you can attack him. His hitbox is huge, by the way, so you don't actually have to like be in contact with his hands. You could be a little bit, away from them. So you don't actually need to be on top of him to hit him. Just get close enough and try to stay to the left or right side of him so you don't get swiped by him after he leans back, upright. So after his hand comes up, he does a swipe in the center every single time, and it can knock you clear off the map. So, and it's not very forgiving. I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed to knock off the map if he does hit you. So just stay to the left or right. Also, use God's Hand to keep him stop longer and load up on those attacks. But you can hit him while he's down and frozen, and it's still going to take a bunch of damage afterwards. So God's Hand is super useful for this. Also, use God's Hand if people need regen. So like if you need a little bit of time to regen those hearts, use God's Hand for that too, especially in emergency cases. Your God's Hand needs to stay alive, so make sure they're healing themselves. I mean, they don't need to stay alive, but it helps a lot having God's Hand. Same with your Tycoon. It's very essential. Now, phase 2 begins at about 85% HP, and it does take a while to get there, but at about 85% HP, he's going to start doing a roar every now and then. He's going to call meteorites, which fall from the sky and cause knockback along with shockwaves. So, along with the shockwaves, he's going to continue doing to you. The meteorites are represented by these circles. You just have to, stay out of the circles. You can stand in some of the, outer edges of the circles. It doesn't do, the whole, circle. Like, if you're standing out on the outside of the circle a little bit, like the inner part of it, you won't really get knocked back. It's just like I think half the size of that circle is the actual impact. So, once I learned that, you don't have to panic so much. But even if you got hit by a meteorite, it doesn't do that much knockback. Just be careful if you get hit by too many of them. It's the giant ones, the meteors, which cover the map. You got to be careful of those. Those will do some those do some damage. They will knock you around. So phase 3 begins though when you have about 75% HP for the boss, and that's where the pain begins. It gets really chaotic here. It's almost like you feel like there's no way you're gonna be able to win, but it's not that bad. Like I said, we beat this 5 times in a row, so it's not an impossible thing. They don't need to nerf it more. It's actually very, very much winnable or beatable. Your priority should be, though, to get the Tycoon to 1,500 clicks. That is kind of the most essential thing, and the number one thing you should be focusing on at this stage is getting those 1,500 clicks. Use God's Hand when you need to, by the way, to be able to get those clicks on. So, use the God's Hand, click, click, click. Everyone should be clicking on that thing. Just try to get as many clicks as you can, get it to 1,500, and then you're good. At that point, you should focus on killing the boss. But before that, you're really just trying to survive and get those clicks in, because you need that Tycoon to 1,500 clicks or else you've already lost. But during this phase, like I said, the boss is going to go into full rage mode. At this point, he's dropping huge meteors on you, and they do crazy, crazy knockback. So just stay outside of those. They do give you a bit of time to move around on the map. map. Also, one thing that I noticed helped a lot is if you have your team split across the map. So instead of everyone bunched up, on the left side of the map of the boss, have maybe 1 or 2 people go to the right side of the map. That way it's not like all concentrated in one area, just not getting hammered. I did that a few times, and I was able to relax on the right side of the map because the left side was getting pummeled. So you could take breaks, especially if you maybe have low HP, maybe take some breaks on the other side of the map, get away from the main chaos. What you're going to notice though is as these meteorites fall, there's going to be like these giant meteors that will stay there at times, and then what you need to do is slap that into the boss. The boss is going to lean over and fall back over so you can go into attack mode, but he will drop a couple shockwaves with both of his hands when he falls. So just be ready for those. Jump over them and you can start hitting him again. Ideally with God's hand again, just, use that pause, try to, let up on that damage. So you're going to pretty much do this for a while. And, after about 60% HP, you're going to see text appear on the screen from unknown that says interesting ... and he's going to say a bunch of stuff. But at this point, you're going to see minions spawning, and your Reaper and Killstreak are going to need to go and kill them. My recommendation would be to have the Reaper tag them all first before the Killstreak kills them. That way the Reaper gets the credits and the Killstreak gets kills. And once you kill all the minions, he's going to go back to similar attacks as phase 3, where he just drops, meteors. And you just have to keep sending those meteors into him until at around, I want to say about like 15 to 20% mark, you're going to see text that appears that says Bob is weakened. And then at this point, it's going to feel really weird, but you need to have everyone but one player jump into the void. So one player is going to stay there, and they're going to be the one to cleanse the Eternal Bob with Rob. And so they're going to be granted, after everyone else jumps off, they're going to use the Rob glove on the Eternal Bob to cleanse him. And after that, everyone's going to be granted the badge, and you're all going to get teleported. You basically won the battle, and you're going to be sent back to the main experience, and you now have the Rob glove unlocked. So I mentioned, though, this really cool glove combo with Bob. If one player summons Bob and another turns into Rob at the same time, or like around that time, as long as Bob's running around, if you turn into Rob and Bob runs into you, you create this really crazy like black hole explosion, which will vacuum up all nearby players in the arena. It's pretty crazy. And we did this with 2 explosions at once, and it was hilarious seeing everyone get like sucked up into this void. So definitely try that out if you get it. If you have a friend with Bob, run in there with Rob and time it and troll players inside various servers. It's hilarious. Now, I did mention an optional badge called the Clipped Wings, which is pretty easy to get, especially if you know how to beat Eternal Bob now. I mean, you've already gone through that pain. It's a lot easier the second time. All you need to do is everything you just did for the Rob glove, but instead, the last person that is standing, they will, instead of like cleansing Eternal Bob, they're going to jump off in the void and throw, basically sell, and they're going to be given the badge. Basically, clip wings is basically that. It means you could win, you could have won, but you didn't, and at that point you're going to get the clipped wings. And only the person though that does this, only the person at the end with the Rob glove gets the clipped wings badge. So you're gonna have to do this for every single person that wants that badge. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you for being able to beat the Eternal Bob. It was a lot of fun. I actually liked this event a lot. It was hard at first. It was very daunting. Didn't think we'd be able to beat it. But then after a couple fails and we kind of figured things out, it was really easy. I don't know why it was easy, but it was just fun. Getting knocked off in the void every now and then wasn't so fun, and it was kind of nerve-wracking at times, but it was like, dude, this is actually fun. So keep that in mind. You will get better. You will figure it out. So don't give up on it. Just make sure you have a couple hours to play. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next vid. Peace.